Okay, this Strange Happening is going to be a little something extra. Normally, these Strange Happenings are not standalone. I guess this one might be a standalone one, kind of an odd one out, an outlier. But for this one, I mentioned in a past video about bringing the land alive, and that I wasn't going to mention how I did it. Well, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and put out here how I went about doing it. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. I'll put a link in the description to the video of bringing the land alive, but this particular one is how I went about doing it. Now, I didn't learn how to do this sort of thing. It's just one of those weird things that's in my head. I just kind of do. It felt right. It's like this is in my head. This is how I'm going to go about doing it. It feels right doing it this way, so I'm going to go about doing it this way. And so for the rest of this video clip I'm going to add in here is at the pink house, and it is me talking about how I went about doing it. So this is just an extra thing, and it could be a standalone, but I'm getting more comfortable with everything now that I'm not alone. I don't feel I'm crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. All right, sorry for the shaky camera. I mentioned just now in this other video for Strange Happenings that I'm going to tell you how I did it to bring the place alive, the land alive. I'm just going to walk around showing it. I'm kind of hot and worn out now from doing other work. But I want to get this done. And I'm sorry, but I'd never learned how to do something like this. This is all intuition. Me, this feels right. This just is in my head. This is what I do. And how I started out is with these things right here. I'm going to bring it up closer. These things right here. It's a little pottery piece I made. Signed it on the back. I made it all myself. I've got about 20 of them I made. Little pottery pieces. And I made them like little homes. Because what I wanted it to be a home for something. It's not deep enough to be a bird's nest. Anything like that. Dart dabbers like it. Wasp like them. Some of them I even put little bark around it. I think most of the bark has worn off. Little vines. Here's another one. These little holes here, I had little vines coming out like a little patio. So I've made them little homes. About 20 of them. And they're all around this property. Hanging on trees, different objects. Here's two on the fence right here by the house. So I put these everywhere. We're looking at one of the grapevines. But if you look inside, see if I can find my way in here. There's also one in here. What I did with these scattered around, I tried to infuse them with a little bit of what you might call energy. And that's what I did initially. Each one was separate from the others. They each had their own little bit of energy. I'll put in the description a link to reality responding kind of thing, but in one of them I talked about how I talked to nature, talked to the river, talked to everything. I also talked to the energy in these things and used them as a battery to help effect change, make that river stop rising and not flood the house, and it worked instantly. But it seemed to drain these things. It sounds weird, but with me, I can feel people, feel energy sometimes. Feel energies. I know it sounds weird, but you know, I'm feeling more comfortable about myself and putting this kind of thing out there. The reason I'm now putting all this out there is I'm feeling more comfortable. For a long, long time, I felt I was crazy and alone. I don't anymore. So I'm just going to show you some of the things that I do here. And I don't feel so alone and crazy. So I'm putting it out here when I initially said I would not. But I use these things as batteries. When I asked the river to stop, it seemed like the batteries were drained. I could feel that they were drained. They were just objects again, just objects. I'm like, well, that's no good. That's not going to work very well in the future for anything I might need. So let's try something else. So what I did to try for something else with these, oh look, that one still has part of the vine in it, like a little balcony thing, is I linked each one to a particular aspect of nature. This one might have been, I don't know what I linked this particular one to, but one of them went to growing plants and green things. Another went to sunlight, daylight. Another went to nighttime, darkness. Another one went to the stars. Another one went to the wind blowing. This particular one went to the setting sun, full sunlight hitting it, full on sun, the sun itself. It's facing west. It gets a lot of full-on sun. So that was sun. Another one I had linked to the rain. Another one to humidity. Another one to moss. Another one to the actual animals that are moving through the area and go past it. I believe it was this one I had linked to moss, green growing things, that sort of thing. So this was green growing things. Each one of these is like a little home. I made them like little homes, a safe place for these thoughts. You know, thought of the sun, the different aspects of nature, different parts of nature. So each one had one little piece, and they were individual, standalone. And so I left them there for about a year with those thoughts, and I would come check on them every now and then, kind of reinforce these thoughts in them, and just be happy with them and think positive thoughts around them, and left it. The thing is, they're still standalone, and that wasn't good enough for me either. I didn't want to talk to them or use up their energies for anything in particular, so what I did at this point is I decided to link them together. And me and energies, I can kind of feel certain energies and things. I'm sorry if the camera's shaky. I've been worn out working and I'm holding it with one hand. But what I did is actually got my hand and took each one, and I could feel and link the energy almost like a wire, cable, or rope, and I pulled on it, and I kept pulling it. And it was a particular energy for what that was. The energy of this greenery, green growing things, moss, all that energy. And so I would pull it, and I kept my hand like this, and I walked to the next one. That closest tree there may be too far to see, but that is that little mini house that I was just talking about on this video. Here is the tree next to it with another one. This one still has its couple of little sticks on it. Dirt dauber nest up in there, which is awesome. I love dirt daubers. But I physically walked from one to the other, pulling this string, this rope of energy, and then connected it to each one, and then started a new one from here, pulling to the next one. This is before my uncle moved in. And I would just keep pulling and walking to the next one, and walking to the next one. And you can see I'm walking now. There's a tree over here. So that was two trees together. It's not too far apart. And there's another one on this tree right there. And then I'll walk and link it to this one for this aspect, and then pull another line of energy from there and walk to the next one, like a spider trailing a spider web. Just one last one to show you. I thought it's cute. I like this one too. It's in the middle of all the maypops, the passion fruit. So they are hidden in places. Some of them are really obvious, and they are all over the place. Like I said, there are about 20 of them. This one happens to be in with all the passion fruit vines. But they are all over the place and linked, and the land is alive. But that's what I did for all of these. I linked them one to another with lines of energy that I could feel. During the walk, if I felt that line of energy getting weak, I would stop and reinforce it until it got strengthened up again, and kept going to the next one until I encircled this whole house. Now, it's not a circle. It's just all around the house, but they're all linked and connected one to another. I left that about a year and let those energy lines just grow and get used to each other. After about a year, I came back, and instead of just building up a charge, I let it start going between all three of them and let each little house recognize the other one, like lines of information. So the darkness recognized the light, the nighttime, recognized the plants, recognized the air movement, recognized the rain on the next one. And they all started recognizing each other and linking to each other and recharging. So I let them recharge themselves and start learning from themselves. And that was about the final part of it, is getting them out there over these years, letting them link together, learning about themselves and recharging, and doing it that way. I'm hearing bumblebees. So that's what I did. And over a period of time, I started getting a little bit of a consciousness, and that's what I wanted, a place and a way to wake it up. Now it's conscious enough that these training wheels, or the beginnings, aren't really needed anymore, the security blanket part, if you want to call it that, and it's awake enough it doesn't need them anymore. So think it's at that stage now. It's happy to be what it is, and I'm glad to see it that way, but that is what I did. I physically created these objects with my own hands, my own thoughts, to something, a safe space, a home for something, a home for these ideas, a place to retreat to. And they were standalone, and then they linked together into a neighborhood, and then they started sharing information more and more, and finally started waking up. So that took some number of years to get that done, and that's how I did it. I awakened the land.